Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're not just looking at a sword, we're looking at a conversation starter. This is the foil. If you've ever watched Olympic fencing, this is often where the real dramatic and the real strategy unfolds. The foil is deceptively simple. It's light, it's flexible, and it's a thrusting weapon only. Unlike the saber, where you can slash, or the epee, where you can hit anywhere, the foil demands pinpoint accuracy. Look closely, the scoring area is just the torso, the chest, the back, the stomach. Everything else, the arms, the legs, the head, they're invalid targets. Hit them and you stop the action, but you get no point. This narrow target forces fencers to be surgical, to guard that vital area like it's everything. But the real magic of the foil lies in a simple, complex concept: right of way. This isn't just about who hits first. If both lights go off, both fencers touch each other, the referee has to decide who had the priority, who attacked first with intent, who initiated the action correctly. Think of it like a duel governed by incredibly strict etiquette. If I launch an attack, I have the right of way. My opponent must successfully parry that, is deflect my blade before they can counterattack or repose. If they just attack simultaneously, my point counts, theirs doesn't. This rule turns a fencing bout into a lightning-fast game of chess. You're not just trying to stab your opponent. You're trying to earn the right to stab them. You're constantly maneuvering, testing their defenses, and baiting them into a flawed counterattack. A great foilist isn't the fastest. They're the one who can control the tempo, anticipate their opponent's defense, and execute a perfect parry, riposte, or a sudden lunge into that metallic vest. The foil embodies the spirit of classical swordplay, precision timing, and intellectual superiority over brute force. It's why many fencers consider it the purest form of the sport. It's a dance of distance, discipline, and deadly accuracy. If you want to understand strategy and swordsmanship, you have to understand the foil. Now, the differences between, because there's three different types of fencing. There's foil, which is this. There's epee, and then there's saber. The differences are how or what the target area is. The blade is actually structured differently as well. A foil has a rectangle or square blade. A epee or saber has a triangular blade. Okay. Now, a lot of them have a button on the end. This just has, this is not an electronic one, but it's still considered a button. It's for safety, so you don't get stabbed. Okay. But they are flexible, very. Now, the difference is the target range. Like in regular foil fencing, your arms your head and your legs are not targets. Your chest, your neck, your back, even the groin area is a target area. With an épée, your whole body is a target. Your head, your neck, everywhere is a target. So now you have to defend more. Saber, your arms from the waist up, your head and your neck are a target. Now, the difference between the three of them is with foil, which this is, and épée. I don't unfortunately have an épée or a saber to show you. You have to score a point with the tip of the blade, and only the tip of the blade. You cannot score any other way. So this does not count, okay? Has to be the tip of the blade. Whereas with the saber, it could be the tip or the edge of the blade. So that would count. Something like this would count. Or something like that would count. Okay? So those are the differences between the three types of fencing. Movement is the same. And I have seen this before because I took fencing in college. When you move your body, you are in a sideways stance and you basically walk. And as you walk, when you take your first step, you pick up your back foot. If you don't pick up your back foot, you get into a bad habit of dragging your back foot. When you drag your back foot, you are taking the chance of when you have to go backwards of falling. Okay? And I have seen that happen before. Now, what happens if you fall? Well, let's say you make a point on your opponent as you're falling. Okay? And you hit the ground. You do not get that point. It's annulled. Okay? So, because you are responsible of keeping your own balance. Okay? If you intentionally fall to avoid your opponent getting a point, and the judge sees that and determines that, you get penalized. When you fall mistakenly, not only do you not get that point, you also get penalized. For falling accidentally, you get what they call a white penalty. If you do it on purpose, you get a yellow penalty. And we can all figure if you get red, what's going to happen? You're going to get disqualified from the match. So, now, people would say that's not fair. Well, no, if you're a skilled foil fencer, foil or épée or saber, you should be working on your balance. And fencing does help with that. Now, what if you do fall and your opponent is, because they will put force on you, you start falling and your opponent tags you as you're falling. He gets that point only if the judge or the referee did not yell halt. Okay? If they yell halt and they touch you, they do not get the point. But if you start falling and they tag you real quick, they get the point. I have seen this happen before. People start falling because they lost their foot. They turn around like we all tried to do. Instead of landing on our back, we try to catch ourselves with our hands. And the point just goes, pink, right on the back, which is a point. You can reach around and tag your opponent if you can on the back. As long as the tip touches, you get that point. Nowadays they have a button, a spring-loaded button, and certain ones take certain amount of pressure to set them off. When it goes off, it buzzes. That means that tells the referees and the judge that you just scored a point, and it shows up on your side. So let me reset everything, and I will demonstrate like the footwork, how you salute, because you do salute your opponent in fencing. Okay. The one thing you do not do in fencing with your opponent, because all in fun, is you do not salute your opponent with your helmet on unless you want to piss them off, because actually very disrespectful. So you always have your helmet underneath your arm, like so. And this is how you salute. You just hold your blade up and you flick it to one side. That's how you salute your opponent. And you always salute your opponent because, like I said, you're showing courtesy to them. They show courtesy to you. So let me reset, and then I will demonstrate how you're supposed to move in fencing. Okay, so in fencing, basically shoulder width, length, bend the knees. You normally try and stay relaxed. This hand either comes back here, but most put their hand behind their back. So when you step, take a step, pick your foot up, take your step, and then you just reverse it. I've seen a lot of people do this. And then when they go to step back, they try and slide it, catch their foot, and fall. So that's not how you move. So you literally have to pick this foot up and put it back down before you take your next step. Takes some getting used to. But once you learn it, it's pretty easy. Okay, so again, I have, fortunately, two foils here. Now, granted, the handles are different, as you can see. Doesn't matter. One's just shaped differently for more control than the other. So basically, that one sits like that. And you're basically, that's how your hand looks. Okay? So, because you use your wrist a lot, this one you can put your fingers in, or just one finger. You just want to make sure you keep your hand behind the guard. Now, tapping your sword is one way you can annoy your opponent. But another trick you can do is, let's say, when you start, you're in a cross guard, like so. Okay, swords are touching. So what you can do is disengage, re-engage. Okay, the reason why you want to do that is if I'm on the outside now, I can deflect your blade this way. So if we're getting ready to start, because this is how basically your blade goes up at an angle, it's like a 45. I can smack your blade out of the way and get a point. If I'm on the inside of the start of the match, I now have to smack your blade this way and then come back. That takes too long. But if I have your blade on the inside, and I come back and get you. And yeah, I've seen that happen. Then fencers, they'll come up, they'll notice they're on basically the inside, disengage, re-engage, real quick. Okay. So you have to be aware of that, because if your opponent does that, that means he's going to try and get a point on you lickety split on the first go around. So you have to be very careful of that. If you do it, your opponent's going to know what you're up to. And he's going to think you're pretty fast. So he's going to do whatever he can to stop you. Okay? And all these moves go for épée and saber. Okay? It's just your target range is different in each one. And like I said, tap, we can sit here and we can go on the floor to annoy our opponent, to draw them in by dropping your saber or your foil. You can drop it and you can put it down on the ground. Smack the ground. And it does. It starts annoying you. I've had people do it to me. I've done it to others. And you're like, because what you do is you move far enough away where they can't touch you. And you start doing that and you walk back. So now you're forcing them to come to you. So when they do, a lot of times they're going to start wielding. And then you're hoping that you got them annoyed enough that they go too far out with their foil. And you can really smack it and get it out of the way and get your point. Now, a lot of times, if you watch old fencing, before they had the buzzers on the end, you'll see the fencer touch their opponent and then twist. And the reason why they're doing that, because, this just has a regular plastic button on the end of it. When they sit there and twist, they're binding the clothing in it so it doesn't bounce off like that. Because if your sword, when you have it connected, if it goes and the judge and the referees don't see it, you don't get that point. So by putting it in, twist, you're ensuring that it's enough time that the referee and the judge has seen it. Otherwise, you don't get a point. As far as doing a high guard, low guard, you're going to do it. They don't teach you. They teach you how to thrust. A lot of times, they teach you how to thrust. Because you can thrust and step, lean forward. Okay? But as far as go to a high guard, go to a low guard, that all comes naturally, actually. You would. It's hard to believe, but when you have somebody else wielding one of these in front of your face, you're going to be like that a lot. Very, very quickly. And yeah, you'll come up this way, you're going to go down this way, up, whatever. Because like I said, your back is a target. And yes, like I said before, your groin area. So you're going to swoop it down. But the one thing you always want to do is if your opponent's coming down, you smack it, you come back. You always want to come back so you're going straight at your opponent if you can. Because if you're like this, and let's say you smack your opponent and he does this, you could come around and get his back. If you're in range and you have enough. It's risky because now you're exposing your back. So, but you always, once you deflect, you want to come back to center as fast as you can. And that's the nice thing about the foil. It's super fast because it's so light. But you also want to check your foil 100%. They do get cracks, they get nicks, which can cut into your clothing. You don't want that. So a lot of times fencers have a file on hand. They'll run their hand down. If they feel a nick, they'll file it off real quick. Check for cracks. If it is cracked, you cannot use that foil. These unscrew, basically. So you unscrew the whole thing. You don't ever throw the handle away. You put a new blade in, screw it back together, you're good to go because they're full tang. Okay. Like a good one to show you is this one right here. Stay. This one right here. So everything screws in right down here into this handle. Okay. So it probably comes to right about there. That's how far it goes down. Okay. And it seals everything up. So there's actually a ridge too, right where your guard is, that keeps the guard in place, and then you just twist this whole handle on there and you're done. Okay. And like I said, with this one, your hand kind of goes like that. And you can really maneuver this one. So that's why it's shaped this way. It's a fun little one to use. Fortunately, this one, actually the tip is broken on it. It's snapped off. These were used ones, so no, I didn't snap it. This is why you check your gear. And yeah, your guard's going to be kind of funky like this one. There's nothing you can do about that. Okay, as long as you're protecting your hand. Now, Saber has a guard that comes down, which is a lot nicer to protect this side of the hand. And epee, basically, it looks the same. Handle, guard. Sometimes the epee will have a little bit bigger guard, but not much. And the blade is triangle, not square. So just like the Saber, it's a triangle blade. But with that epee fencing, like I was saying, your whole body is a target. Doesn't matter where, whole body. So that's all I have for you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this one. If you really want to know the strategy of swordsmanship, highly recommend taking a fencing class, at least once or twice, just for fun. And you will notice how quickly that whole thing just moves in successions. I mean, it's super, super fast. People always talk about, you know, what was a Japanese duel like? And people say it was very quick execution. Take a fencing class, you'll find out how quick. Because, yeah, you might as well say how fast it's going to be. You know, so if you want to experience that, take fencing. It will teach you a lot on swordsmanship and strategy, because you have to think so fast while you're engaged. There's no time. And that's another thing. There's no time out for fencing. You go until somebody wins. When somebody gets a point, you reset. So you go back to center. Everybody goes up. You reset. That's the only break you're getting. Other than that, there's no timeout unless the judge or the referee calls it. And that, you keep going until you're done. Until somebody has 3 points. That's it. So it's a very energetic sport. But very, very fun. You can learn a lot from it. If you want to learn swordsmanship, how to duel, take a fencing class. A lot of people call it fencing now with broadswords and sabers. That's fine. But it's not the same as traditional fencing, because it does have an etiquette. They do have some kind of strict rules, but those rules only apply when you're dueling like with tournament-wise, okay? As far as learning strategy and how swordsmanship works, it will teach you that a lot, because of the way you have to move and everything else. Now, granted, you're only moving straight forward, straight back, but it's going to tell you how to position your body, how quickly you need to move. Like I said before, doesn't matter which part of the world it is, the styles of swordsmanship will match almost everyone else, because we can only move our body one way. And that goes for everybody. You just may have a different variation to it. That's all. So, like I said, hope you guys all enjoyed this. Hope you found it informative. And we will see you on the next one.